And we're on. Welcome back to the Lore and Valor podcast. I am joined once again by my friend, independent filmmaker, and fellow comic super nerd, Sam Platiski.
How are you guys?
Doing good tonight, Sam. So we're back with more Moon Knight. So
Yes.
Moon Knight episode
So
5. Episode 5. So last time we engaged with Moon Knight, we covered both episodes 3 and 4. Conversation was a little bit of a downer because I think we were in agreement that those 3 was okay, but 4 was a real downtick for the entire show. I'm gonna go ahead and let you lead off, Sam. What are your impressions off of episode 5? Coming off of it.
Mixed bag for me, right? Because I do think that it is possibly the best episode of the series so far. For me, definitely the best acted episode of the series so far.
God,
for me.
yes, yeah.
But it's episode 5 of 6, right?
Yeah.
This needed to be there in episode 2. 2. I'm not even going to say 3. This needed to be there in episode 2. Yep. This is the quality. This is the level. This is the place we needed to be. Mm-hmm. And I'll get into more specifics as we go. But so it's a mixed bag for me because I did enjoy it so much, and there's a lot I feel about the episode because I feel stuff about the episode, which I'll get into. But there's a lot to say. But it needed to do this earlier. That's my only issue. As an episode, great. As the series, where were you, baby? Where were you?
Yeah. I mean, and I'm on a very similar wavelength with you. And I forgot to put this caveat out there: spoilers abound. We're going to talk about what happened in this episode. So if you haven't seen Moon Knight episode 5 and you want to, and you don't want it spoiled, definitely go watch that before you continue watching our review of it. But yeah, Sam, I'm on the same page. Like the I did try to take some notes this time, and note number 1 is Oscar Isaac has amazing chemistry with Oscar Isaac.
He does. He has amazing chemistry with anybody. Let me first off, because he had sexual chemistry with Ray, with Finn, with BB-8, with the one in the mask from Felicity. He had sexual chemistry with all of those people. He's just got it.
Yeah. I mean, and it was wasted in those films.
Yes, it was.
Because Oscar Isaac's great, and those films are not. No. But yeah, no, I agree with you completely. I found myself as I was watching it super torn, because I was like, okay, this is actually really engaging. I suppose I could do a brief recap. So we join Mark and Steven in the asylum, which I kind of guessed in the last episode was a metaphor for the underworld or the transit to the underworld. I don't know. I thought that was pretty apparent since he got shot and woke up there. And they go through these increasingly odd time-lapsed jumps back and forth between their own memories, therapy sessions with Arthur Harrow, who's now a very dapper-looking Ethan Hawke, and then it ends up with them on a barge with the Egyptian hippo god headed towards the Field of Reeds, the Egyptian version of heaven. And in the course of that, you have the reveal of how Stephen was constructed by Mark because of childhood trauma. And it's really this, nothing really happens to forward the plot. It's just this highly introspective episode that's all about interpersonal drama and emotional development, and that's great. But like you said, this is the penultimate episode before the climax, and I found myself engaged, but I also found myself resenting that I was engaged. Because I'm like, you guys were telling a story, and you just took a complete, and frankly, you weren't doing a great job of it. You hadn't built up great tension. I wasn't hanging on the edge of my seat to see what happened, and you took this side quest into Mark's past, which was super interesting, but didn't really forward the story at all. Not really. Good to know.
They got a lot to work. They got a lot of work to do in episode 6.
So much to wrap up with, but yeah. So what was your what would you say are the scenes that had you really hyped, and then what had you really annoyed when you were watching through it?
I mean, annoyed. Okay, I'll do annoyed first. So annoyed. I recently, in the last week since we talked last, I reread the Jeff Lemire, Greg Smallwood Moon Knight series, which is 14 issues. Mm-hmm. If you're going to read any Moon Knight at all, read this series. it takes place. It starts in an asylum,
Mm-hmm.
and he goes through these things where you don't know if he's really in an asylum and he's crazy, or if he's being held captive by some evil Egyptian gods. And he
Gotcha.
goes into like all these different scenarios, and through all the different personalities that he has. And it's a great story. You don't need any really prior knowledge of Moon Knight. You just need to know, you don't even, they give you everything you need. So it's the perfect jumping on point for Moon Knight.
Yeah.
And for them to do this asylum bit at the end, that's what they were like, going for. But you could have done this much earlier where like you don't know if he's crazy or not.
Yeah.
In this, as soon as the episode starts, basically, oh, he's in the afterlife, and this is just his visualization of it. But if you had that like kind of like back and forth, like, is this real? Is he really crazy? Or what's going on? That would have been compelling for me for like this series.
Hell, that could have been episode 1.
Yeah,
like,
and then you get to, and you could have like those little parts where like he's in the asylum, but then he's in the museum, and then he's fighting these like the whatever you call them, the Anubis guys.
Yeah.
So like all of these all these missed opportunities, and you're just doing this now. And you can have like the reveals now, and that's fine. But no, you could have done all of this earlier. So that's my main complaint with the episode.
Yeah,
missed opportunities.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Yeah, and another thing, well, I guess that's later in the episode. I'll save that one. But another thing, this show, I understood going into it was not going to be Ragnarok or Guardians or Hawkeye. Like I understood that the humor was going to be dialed down for the psychological horror aspect, basically. And I was down for that. But I have to say, when they do try to use humor, it has consistently fallen flat for me. I can't remember a single quip or joke that I actually laughed at, like actively laughed at. And I feel like with Tamaret, the hippo goddess, I feel like they were trying for an almost Korg feel with her from Ragnarok, that she was supposed to be silly and funny and lighten the mood. But I'm like, I didn't hate her, but I'm like,
yeah.
Like you could have played this straight and it would have been just as entertaining as it is now. So
yeah. As much as I love the humor in Marvel movies, because I do like it almost all the time.
Me too.
Moon Knight has been the biggest failure in terms of humor for me, mainly because the face of that has been Steven. Yeah. And again, we'll get into it. This was Steven's best episode for me.
Yes.
This is everybody's best episode, but it was like he worked so much better. Yeah, he wasn't just a joke. Yeah. So yeah, that's an issue with the whole series too.
Yeah, it's true. No, this was the first time since the first episode, this is the first time I've given a damn about Steven.
Yeah. They did a good job making you care about him again.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, I will say that when we get into Mark's actual memories and his childhood trauma, that was gut-wrenching.
Yeah.
That was well acted and well written, and you could believe that happens. That happens in real life to people. So, like, that was all very well done. But again, it's like, man, you laid this on me when you should be gearing up for the final climactic battle with a bad guy.
Yeah.
And like, I feel for I feel for the character. So good job, writers. Like you got me feeling something again where I was just numb for the last couple episodes. So kudos, but man, the timing.
Yeah. Yeah. Another thing that I thought, like, and this is like, I have a lot of thoughts about this. Mm-hmm. The fact that he's Jewish, right? We've talked about this before.
Yeah.
And when we were talking about it before, it was all, abstract. I didn't know if they were going to do it, if they were going to mention it beyond the oi that he said early in one of the episodes. And, it didn't really mean that much to me because in the comics, he's Jewish, but it's not the biggest part of his backstory. He's not Daredevil with the Catholicism, Yeah. But when I saw the, it's a small thing. And I've seen people complaining that it's too small for them. But for me, seeing the yarmulkes, seeing like the Shiva call, and I want to talk about that in like a little bit too, his reaction to the Shiva. But it like, I felt for young Sam because I never had that. I never had like Jewish characters at all. And all the superheroes, they don't show, their religions, but they're Christian. They're implied.
Well,
Christian.
the cultural default is some form of milquetoast Protestant Christianity, which,
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of what I am, and kind of the
You
default.
milk toast.
Yeah.
But yeah, but
Yeah,
like
I
seeing
mean,
it, I was like, and like it got me, and I was like, fuck, representation really does matter.
no.
Because it wouldn't have changed my life as a kid, but seeing myself on screen like that really would have like impacted me. And it impacted me as a 38-year-old. I felt for the young Jewish kids who are watching this. You have a hero on screen now. He kicks ass occasionally when he's
Yeah.
not being jokey.
I just
But
wish y'all
it's
got a
like,
better
oof.
show, though, overall.
Yeah, yeah. But we got a good episode.
Yeah, you got the best episode.
Yeah.
Like,
So I was
this
like, it
will go
was
down
yeah.
as the best episode.
So like even
Um,
more than just the fact that they made him Jewish, the
mhm.
way they did it, even though it wasn't overhanded, I was just like, yeah, this is good, and it's kind of important
Mhm.
because I mean, like, not to get too deep into shit, but like,
No,
yeah,
yeah.
the day that it premiered was Yom HaShoah, the day of remembrance for the Holocaust, and anti-Semitism, is prevalent. It's there. It has never gone away. And you can pretend it's not there, and it's like it's an easy thing to like, well, there's so much racism in the world. A lot of people turn a blind eye to it,
Yeah.
you know? And to show a heroic Jewish character, it means a lot to me. And I didn't expect it to, but it did. So
Oh,
kudos,
I'm glad to hear
Marvel.
that.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, and I've we've had frank conversations offline where it's like I've expressed like they're anti-Semites of like a dozen different flavors,
Yeah.
like that it's like there's just, man, like as a Christian, I believe y'all are the chosen people, and the only thing harder than your path is, and this is one of the reasons, aside from the moral implications of not being a bigoted asshole, I counsel against anti-Semitism because the only thing harder than the road of the Jewish people is what does tend to happen to their oppressors after enough time. It's like your culture, if you mess with the Jews too hard, your culture does tend to end up in ruins. Like
Takes a
just
while
not,
sometimes.
it takes a while, but it does happen.
Yeah.
Like the Rome, Nazi Germany, like the Soviet Union, like all gone.
Yeah.
Like all crushed. So no, I'm glad to hear that from you. I thought it was handled well, but I don't have an educated opinion. I will be honest with you. I learned about the custom of sitting Shiva from Babylon 5. From the
Wherever you
episode
learn
with
it.
Susan Ivanova. Well, and there's a badass Jewish character you
Yeah.
guys got is
Sure.
Susan, and they do similarly. She makes reference to her Jewish faith, but it's not like in every episode she's
No.
talking about it. So,
It's
so no,
important for non-Jews to see too,
yeah. Well,
just to see
I
because like
learned about something from science fiction.
yeah, and it's good wherever you learn it from, as long as you learn
Yeah,
it, because
yeah,
we've talked about this before too. Racism is like based heavily in ignorance,
yeah.
and it's
Ignorance and
like
fear.
yeah, and like there's so many people who've never probably met a Jew. I was the only Jew in my class for years. My Hebrew school is another story, but my
Yeah.
grammar school was I was the
Well,
only Jew. You know,
well, and like there was kind of a joke in the army that you had, and we're usually knit pretty tight in the army, so the conversations are both frank and friendly.
Mhm.
And there's kind of a joke. It's like, oh, there's our one.
Yeah.
We have the one issue. We had the one Jewish kid.
There you go.
Like we're good. We got one.
As long as you got
um,
one of the chosen.
well, we'll usually have one enlisted, and often there's one officer because when y'all do serve, you tend to be commissioned officers rather than enlisted folks. Something about valuing education and tending to be a little more intelligent on average, I guess.
Your words, not mine.
Yeah, my words, not yours. But stereotypes that through anecdotal evidence I have found to be true.
There you go.
But no, I'm glad I enjoyed it, but I'm obviously not Jewish, so I'm glad to hear that it was relevant and meaningful to you. I'm just happy as someone of faith whenever someone has a religious identity that matters to them and it's not treated either disrespectfully or cartoonishly,
Mm.
because there's a habit in fiction of, if they just ignore it completely, which is a little unrealistic because in any group of 10 people, probably 5 to 7 of them do have some religion, or it's just the bad guy. Like we're just going to make the religious guy the bad guy, which there are
Yeah.
people who use their religion as an excuse to do evil
Oh,
shit.
yeah.
I'm not saying that's completely inaccurate, but it always pleases me when someone gives a nuanced view of it, right? Where it's like, oh no, this is a component of this person, an important component of this person. It's not the only thing about the person that matters. So I appreciate that about Mark, Susan Ivanova, even made up religions in, like Star Trek Deep Space Nine, where they have like alien religions, and because in that science fictional world, all the humans are atheists by that time point. So they have to make up alien religions so people can have faith. But that's a bit of a tangent. No, I'm really glad. I enjoyed the fact that having his Jewish heritage play into the story was both realistic, immersive, and dramatic. I think it was just a really great choice overall. I don't think there was nothing shoehorned about it, nothing artificial, in my opinion. And I'm glad to hear you agree with that, since frankly, your opinion matters a little more than mine.
Yeah. And like there was that scene, right, like with the Shiva call when he goes, he doesn't go into the room and he sees his father and he says, like, not gonna go in. And he's walking down the street and he's breaking down, he did a fucking fantastic job. But every piece of that felt like choreographed beautifully but naturally, because he takes his yarmulke off. And the yarmulke is, most people realize it's a symbolization of like the Jewish faith. And he throws it on the ground and then he hits it, which is like, you're not supposed to disrespect the yarmulke, but he hits it, but then he picks it back up and he puts it to his heart. And it's just such a moving thing, because it's not just like the yarmulke. Because I mean, for most Jews today that aren't the secular Jews, like myself, more than religious is, it's a line, it's a tradition, and the yarmulke is like a symbol of that line, and his connection to his parents and his faith and everything that like he's like been through in his life and it was such a powerful moment. It was so good, really good. And then he breaks into Stephen, and because title's called Asylum because they were in asylum.
Yeah.
And Stephen, which is kind of sad and beautiful too.
Yeah, no, that's like that has even more meaning thinking of it that way. So thank you for that perspective. Like I was caught up in the drama of the scene, but I hadn't considered. I mean, I know the significance of the yarmulke because I've seen Fiddler on the Roof. But everything I know about Judaism is through pop culture. No, I kid. But really, like that's really powerful. I'm glad to have that perspective on it. And it makes me even more angry that the show overall isn't better.
Yeah, me too. Same.
Like I'm like, oh wow, you're right. That is even deeper than I thought it was. And why the hell didn't they put this level of effort into the other 5 episodes?
Got me. If I was in the writer's room.
Yeah. Well, and I get it that not everything can be interpersonal, slow-paced, heavy drama, but like you could do that level of quality with the lighter, faster moving stuff, and then it wouldn't feel so dissonant when you take us into that heavy moment. If it was like, all in even quality.
I've never been in a writer's room, a professional writer's room. I've been in like my own writer's rooms with my writers, with the films.
You're paid for what you do. You're a professional.
There you go. But like if you're like writing these episodes, you're breaking them down. You got like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and you get to 5, and 5 is like this. Why? Like, how does nobody in that room have the same like reactions that we do? Like, how does nobody say, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, we got a lot. This is really good. Why not go back and like put more of this level into all of the episodes? What are we doing? What are we doing?" Because like, I mean, like the turret, the CG was probably expensive. The barge was probably expensive and all that shit. But I mean, like all like the best parts of the episode were like the human parts. You could do that. You could do that in the whole season without making it look cheap.
Yeah, like no one thought to invest that kind of development into Layla.
Yeah.
Since she's gonna be around so much, you might want to make us care.
Yeah.
A little more, like because we care about Mark and Steven.
Yeah, but that was another thing I was thinking about this episode, because it was her character is like, I don't want to like, she's like the Sylvie from Loki in that one episode, and that we both agreed wasn't good. And it's like, if you pulled her out of the series, would it make much of a difference? And I'm not saying that you should not have like that character in it, but maybe make it so that you can't just pull this character out without affecting like the overall series.
You're not wrong. Like
Mm.
and I think it's a case of, um to sample from my religion, I wish you'd run rather hot or cold. If you're lukewarm, I spit you out of my mouth. Like that, it's like, but really, it's like if this character matters, invest.
Yeah.
If she doesn't, cut her out of the story. One or the other. Like, like make a decision. Like, don't try to have it both ways. No, I'm totally with you, and it is so curious to me. That phenomenon in this show and so many others where you have collaboration. And it's not just because I can understand one person can be in love with their own idea and make a big mistake. But when you have these large productions where so many people get their eyes on it, and I guess that can be a problem in and of itself, right? Like too many cooks, not enough Indians or whatever the metaphor is.
I've never heard that part of it, Justin. Maybe in Texas.
Too many chiefs, not enough Indians. Too many cooks spoil the soup. That's the joke. But for real, like maybe the collaboration is part of the problem. I don't know, but it does seem really odd that a multi-billion-dollar corporation with one of their flagship properties, even if it is a side effort, wouldn't have somebody be like, you're not there. Rewrite it.
Yeah.
Like it's really odd to me, especially when they clearly can achieve what we just saw.
And they did that with Obi-Wan too, from what I understand. They had like the whole season like scripted, and then they stopped. They had a hard stop, and they said, no, we're redoing everything. They hired new writers, and they got what looks to be really good, and I'm hoping is really good. I got hope for that. But I mean, like they're capable of it. Disney is capable of it. Lucasfilm, at least. Now they are. I don't know about certain movies, but right now.
And they got Ewan McGregor on board, and hopefully it wasn't just a matter of the Brinks armored truck full of cash they backed up to his mansion.
He's from what I've read, like from him, and this is like it's not related to Moon Knight, but he said like he got more out of doing this series than he got from the entire prequel. In terms of acting and character.
I know. I'm just like, the prequels are low bar.
I know. He was the best part. He was the best part of the prequels.
He was. That's why we all want him back.
Put that in, yeah.
Yeah, that's why we all want him back, because it's like, no, you deserve to be in something good.
Yeah,
from Star Wars. Yeah, absolutely. Him and Ian McDiarmid as the Emperor both deserve to be in better things. And poor Ian McDiarmid.
Yeah,
I mean, I say poor. He's probably made $1 billion off his roles, but like the 3 prequels and Rise of Skywalker, you can't get this guy a good Star Wars movie or show, really? Okay.
Yeah, he deserves better too.
Yeah,
he, like Moon Knight, deserves better.
Yeah, no. So much better episode. I could see myself just watching this episode,
sure,
and not watching the series, which is both high praise and pretty damning at all at the same time. Yeah.
It was a really good character study, really good.
Yeah,
but I mean, like I could watch the first episode and this episode, and I think I could be happy. Hopefully, the 6th episode too. We'll see.
I mean, that would be good, at least if you have a little trilogy that's palatable, so you can have a whole story and not just one really well-directed character piece.
Yeah.
The other thing I will say too is, as they're on the barge, that was kind of the most disposable part of the show, because in my opinion, because it's like, okay, we're on a boat with the hippo. It's cool visually, but get me back to Mark's childhood so he and Steven can act off each other.
Yeah.
Some more.
Yeah.
But the other thing I'm concerned about is the fact that Steven falls off the boat and dies allegedly, which I'm like, it's a mistake either way. Either you killed him in a way that doesn't give I mean, like, you could argue, oh well, Mark and Steven reconciled, that component of Mark's personality is no longer necessary, so Steven is now just a part of Mark now. And I'm like, that's not how that feels.
Yeah, I don't love. I was thinking about that too. I don't love that idea, because then you're also changing the character of Moon Knight completely, because that's a big part of who he is. Even if you just introduce another personality, without Steven there, I feel like it's gonna hurt it.
Yep.
And I don't know how you bring it back, but I think you need to.
Yep.
Uh,
And I don't like that either, right? Like, because I'm like I get that we're dealing with comic books.
Mm-hmm.
Like you, I've been reading comic books since I was a kid. I understand death is almost always temporary.
Revolving door.
Yeah, it's a revolving door. Like, how many times has Jean Grey been resurrected at this point? I have seriously lost count.
So
Like Gwen, what the old phrase used to be, everyone's the only person who stays dead is Gwen Stacy, and even that's not true
used
anymore.
to be Gwen Stacy and Bucky.
Yeah,
Not
yeah,
anymore. Not
yeah,
anymore.
yeah, not anymore. Like,
yeah. But I think they almost have to bring him back. But we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think they do have to bring him back. And like I said, whether they do or whether they don't, I think it's a mistake to do a death fake out. Like,
it cheapens his sacrifice in this episode.
Yeah.
Or it, not having him is weird.
Yeah, definitely. It's like when Tony Stark dies at the end of Endgame, spoilers. But it's like, that's, not that I wouldn't love 5 more years of Iron Man, but it's like, yeah, no, that's good. That felt right.
Yeah.
Like that when Black Widow dies, feels right.
Yeah.
And we believe you that you may not bring them back because we have meta knowledge of contracts and the fact that they've been doing it since I was not in college, but shortly thereafter. It's been a while. So, but when you kill off a character that you just made us care about, who hasn't completed his arc, you probably didn't kill him off. And 2, if you did, it was still a fuck up. So kind of a sour note to end the show on. And having Mark in the Plain of Reeds, like in the Egyptian equivalent to the Elysium Fields from Gladiator, visually. At the end, I'm like, but we know he's not going to stay dead. That's not the
There's a 6th episode.
Like that's not the resolution to even this episode, because like an episode should still have an arc, right? And this one was just unresolved. It's like well, he balanced his scales. He got to go to heaven. No, he fucking didn't. Like
there's still stuff to do.
Yeah, like what is it going to be? The Layla show is Layla just going to free Khonshu and become Moon Knight? Is that we're going to? He gets replaced in his first season.
Man, imagine that. That would be fucking terrible.
Like
that was a cool scene though when he first becomes Moon Knight. I like that.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Been waiting to see that, and that was well made, well shot.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I'm looking over to check my notes, see if I missed anything I wanted to talk about. They created sympathy successfully. Hippo didn't work for me.
I was fine with it. It didn't not work for me.
What's that?
It didn't not work for me. It was fine. It was, they're trying to be light and funny.
It's not like I was necessarily gritting my teeth, but I did it's kind of like the sad trombone noise. Just like it
was cool.
That was way funnier in your head, guys.
It was a cool, not funny, but it was a cool little moment when she mentions the ancestral plane. That was nice, little Wakanda thing.
No, that was cool. And like it will be, there's a big opportunity here when they start weaving the mythologies together, between Olympians, Wakandans, Egyptians, Asgardians. It could be really fun. We'll see. Man, I think I'm kind of said everything I have to say on this episode. It was better, but I'm frustrated. Because if it holds up, if it's like good, blah, better, worse, impressive, what are we going to get for the climax?
I don't know. It's a surprise.
We'll see you next week. When does Kenobi come out?
Kenobi comes out May 27th.
Okay, May 27th. Well, we'll meet up to talk about Doctor Strange before that.
Doctor Strange is next week too.
Yep. We should definitely. We'll definitely
We can either do a double header, Moon Knight and Doctor Strange, or we can just do Moon Knight and Doctor Strange.
Probably Moon Knight. Probably Moon Knight and then Doctor Strange. I don't know if Michelle and I, we have to work around babysitting.
Yeah, it's true. That's true. I'm going to see it on Thursday.
Of course you are. We might be too. It just matters if we can get babysitting. Sure. But no, I'm excited. I'm really excited for Strange.
Yeah. I am too. I've stopped watching anything online because Isaac told me. It's my brother. Isaac was telling me, he was like, you want to see this trailer? It's a new TV spot. There's something in it, and I'm like, no, I'm good. I've seen everything I need to see.
Talk about
they sold me.
Yeah, they sold me.
Mhm.
I kind of wish they'd withheld more.
Yeah.
You know, like I get it. You got to you got to put asses in seats in the theater, but like, imagine not knowing, some of the
Yeah.
bigger reveals and going in and actually seeing it as a surprise.
I mean, the
That'd be
only thing I
awesome.
know for sure is Xavier. That's the only thing I
That's
know for
a
sure
big
from the
friggin'
trailer. It's a huge
reveal.
thing.
Yeah,
It's a huge
like
thing. And then there's so many like rumors that have been going around this movie. It's like I've seen from like if there's any cameo in Marvel history, I don't think I'll be surprised. I think I'll like it. I don't think I'll be surprised. You
yeah,
know? They could have like Spider Ham show up and I'd be like, okay, cool.
that's a
You
thing
know?
now.
Yeah, fine.
That's a
Yeah,
thing.
no surprise.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to it. I'm
Or
looking
just
forward to
animated Miles
hopefully.
Morales swings into frame. Yeah.
Yeah. Fucking running. He's one of the Illuminati now. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm trying to hopefully
Yeah.
avoid spoilers because it premieres on Monday
Yeah.
and then not going to see it till Thursday. So I gotta be
Mm-hmm.
careful of the internet the next couple days.
Yeah, yeah. When it's that big of a deal, it's tempting to just completely cut off.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to make sure you don't
Yeah.
spoil
People are
anything.
assholes.
People are
People are, that's
assholes.
one
It's
good
like
thing about Moon Knight. I'll tell you that is one good thing. There's nothing they can really spoil, you know? There's been no cameos. It's just a Moon Knight story. So like they can't spoil shit for me. So I'm happy
and,
with that.
and I respect that. I just because it's something we talked about a couple episodes ago was like I respect and want the self-contained stories within the Marvel universe. I just wish they'd done a better job.
Yeah.
Like it's like I
Yeah.
wish they'd I'm rooting for this concept, and I wish the proof of concept had landed better.
Yeah.
So that they do more of it and keep getting better at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about it. Um, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
I'm excited for Doctor Strange, and not just for the Xavier cameo. I really enjoy Benedict Cumberbatch
Oh, me too. Me too.
as
Cumberbund.
Doctor Strange. Yeah, and I love Wanda. Wanda's a great character,
Yeah.
both
I'm
as a
excited.
hero and a villain.
Yeah.
So that's going to be great.
Yeah, and I'm excited
Um,
for it.
what's that?
I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
I really
So
Doctor Strange. The first Doctor Strange movie I was one of my favorite of the origin films. I really loved it. I
yeah,
really did.
yeah. Although I
Mm.
have to say the honest trailer joke of like, have you ever watched Iron Man on weed? Like,
I didn't see that. That's great.
yeah, it's like I was like, oh, that's a pretty good gag.
Makes
I
sense.
love
Yep.
Doctor Strange too.
Yeah.
Well, and like furthermore, to get even geekier, when I play D&D, I'm always a wizard.
Yeah.
Like that's my character. I love magicians, wizards. I love all that stuff. It's one of my
Yeah.
favorite archetypes. So
Same.
Strange is right up my alley. My favorite fight is probably in all of Marvel is probably Strange, Iron Man, Gamora, Peter, Drax, and other
Mm.
Peter versus Thanos.
Yeah,
Like
that
I
was
thought
awesome.
that whole fight was just friggin' awesome.
Really is.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Yeah.
I think that's about all we got for today.
Yeah.
Sam, any closing thoughts?
Really good episode. You know, it's taken on it by its own. It's a really good episode. I'm
Mhm.
happy with the representation. I'm happy with the acting. Really happy with the acting.
Yeah.
Right on par, or
Oscar
maybe even
Isaac
a little
deserves
better than WandaVision. But like
Oscar Isaac
WandaVision was
deserves
good.
a friggin' Emmy for it. Like
Yeah,
he's done a great job.
yeah, yeah. No, nothing nothing that is bad about the show is on his shoulders, as far as I'm concerned.
You're
He's
right
done a
about that.
great job throughout. You know,
Mhm.
can't give him any fault for that.
Which is odd, that you're like, I'm really dissatisfied with the show, but I got no complaints about the lead.
No, no,
Yeah.
which is it is weird, but yeah. But I'm excited. We'll see how the next one is. You know,
Mhm.
hopefully it wraps it up in a satisfying way. That we want to see more Moon Knight. You know,
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I guess
yeah.
we'll call it a wrap at that. Friends, if you want to support Sam, links to his work will be in the description below as always. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Lore and Valor podcast. See you next time. And until then, keep up the fire. House is betraying me.